Tracy Sandler, thank you so much for being a part of our Who Not Do series. In this series, we're not allowed to talk about our do. It's strictly your who. So Tracy, without saying fangirl in your answer, how would you describe who you are?
Oh, that is a tough one, but I like that. So I would say, can I use the word fan in my answer?
Sure.
Okay. I would say that I am a woman who, you know what, I'm gonna have to say it. I'm a woman who generally knows all of Tom Brady's stats, but isn't afraid to embrace my inner Giselle. I am a woman who's deeply, deeply passionate about social justice, who's deeply passionate about my family, who loves my family, who loves my two little dogs, of course, just more than anything. Loves being with my friends. I'm using the word love a lot. I really enjoy reading. I obviously am a big sports fan. And I think that is, who I am. I'm kind, I'm generous, I'm funny. And I would say I'm bubbly. I'll go with that. My friends call me effervescent. I'll go with that.
What a fun word, Tracy. I know you brought up family there, and I know that you and your dad are very close from what research I did on you. What is one of the biggest gifts that he's given you that you continuously lean on?
You know what? From the time I was a little girl, and I don't think that this is necessarily true of everyone, and sometimes I get a little emotional even thinking about it, but from the time I was a little girl, I knew I had his unwavering support. And no matter what I did, no matter how good things went or how poorly things went, I always had the support of my father, which would be true of both my parents. But there is a real comfort in going out into the world and knowing at the end of the day, my dad loves me no matter what, and he supports me no matter what. And I don't think that I could have a better gift than that in the world.
Yes, what a cool gift that you have. And I actually am the same way. Me and my dad are very, very close. So I know what it's like to be a daddy's girl and just be connected with your family. And that is so important. Now, Tracy, I'm going to cheat here a little bit and bring
Okay.
up a bit of your due just because I know that it's so important to you. So, Tracy, why is it so important for you to empower women throughout sports?
So my whole life, I've been a huge sports fan. Love sports, passionate about sports, knowledgeable about sports. Always used to surprise guys in high school and college with my sports knowledge, and that was not meant to rhyme. That just happened to work out that way. But I didn't feel that there was necessarily a place with content for women like me. As I said before, I totally cheated a little bit. Used our tagline. And that I'm a woman who knows all of Tom Brady's stats, but isn't afraid to embrace my inner Giselle. And I wanted to create a place where women felt empowered to be female fans. Most sports content over the years traditionally has been geared towards men. So I wanted to create content that was geared towards women, that was not just about, of course, the stats, the analysis, the breaking news, but also about the lifestyle aspect of sports, about what players and teams are doing in the community, what the 5 Fun Facts series, learning a little bit more about the players off the field, off the court, off I guess off the field, not the court. And that was really important to me. And I wanted women to feel comfortable with that and feel good about that. And so that's why I created Fangirl.
Yeah, you're giving so many women such a great platform to learn. And I know that you say Richard Sherman taught you one of your most important lessons. What is that?
That was your best ability is availability. And he said it in a press conference this past season. And he said it, and it was one of those moments where I was like, oh, and I started writing down. And it happens like a lot when I do the Get My Job podcast, because I'll be interviewing people. And soon as people are talking, I'm like, I'm so sorry, I'm writing that down. It was so good. I want to make sure I have the nugget. And he said that, and I was like, yeah, he's right. And it just really spoke to me, because that is the best ability. It's a similar idea as, 90% is showing up, or whatever they say the percentage is, but it's really true. And so that was from Richard Sherman. And Richard Sherman, I have to say, is a joy to cover. And I feel very lucky that I get to do that.
Absolutely. And in GALvanize, we talk so much about overcoming and trying to fight through and find our best ability. What's the biggest challenge that you've faced and the greatest gift that you've gotten out of it?
I think the biggest challenge is you start a business and you have ideas and you want this to happen, you want that to happen. And the biggest challenge, I think, is being flexible and being, it's my baby. So no one's going to care about it, love it as much as I do. But just because it's my baby doesn't mean that I can't listen to other ideas and hear other points of view and other opinions on what is best for the business. So I think the biggest challenge, like I said, is being flexible and also letting go of some of the things that when I first started this day one, we had to do this and it has to be this and this is where we have to be. And as time has gone on, realize, we don't necessarily have to do that. It doesn't work as well as I wanted it to, and that's okay. So we'll pivot and do this. And I think that was a big challenge. And then I think the biggest gift I've gotten, I would say, if I can cheat and say two, I think one, first of all, is really seeing the business grow and seeing how people respond to it and seeing that there really was a need for it. There was a want for it. And so that was an incredibly big gift. And then the other one is because of it, I cover the 49ers on a daily basis. And I was a 49ers fan my entire life. And so I actually told this story the other day that Super Bowl Sunday, I woke up and I had like a moment of like a little emotional moment where I was like, oh my goodness, it's like I'm going to cover this team that I've been rooting for forever in the Super Bowl. Like I have a credential and I'm going to be there. And then I was like, all right, great. Now I have to get to work. But that has also been a really big gift.
Yeah, take me through that day with those emotions. Why were you so emotional on Super Bowl Sunday?
Well, I mean, it's the Super Bowl, so that's amazing. And I've been to Super Bowls. I'm very fortunate, but I'd never covered a Super Bowl. And I've worked really hard, to get where I am, and really hard to be credentialed by the 49ers. And they're incredible and they're, amazing and super supportive. But it was really hard work to get there. And so to wake up that day and say, this is like the pinnacle. I'm an NFL writer and I'm covering the Super Bowl. So that day was me. So I had that moment of being emotional. And then literally it was like a moment because I was like, okay, now I have to get to work. Because that moment started, at like 9 or 10 a.m. Eastern time, because I had to be at the stadium by like noon or 1 p.m. Eastern time. And then, I got to work. I started in the morning, getting all the prep work together, doing all my social media stuff to do, got to the stadium, took a walk around the stadium. I wanted to know, how do I get from my seat? Like I wanted to do almost like a dry run, when the game is over, how do I get from my seat to the locker room, to the press conferences? I didn't want to be spending a lot of time like where, and I still at the end of the game was like where, but I did kind of a dry run that way, walked around the field, like I said, not around the field, walked around the stadium, and then kind of parked myself in front of the 49ers locker room to do my game preview for my social, for the FanGirl social, and all of our social content and all of that. And then game time. It's so funny, by game time, I've been working like 7 hours and the game started. So it was, doing that. And then after the game, I said this story the other day too. I had a lot of people text me, are you okay? Are you okay? And I said, I'm fine. I have a job to do. It's different now. It's just kind of a little bit of a different feeling. Now I'm a reporter. I'm still 49ers fangirl, but I'm also a reporter covering this team. So game ended, went down to the locker room, did all our interviews, went to the press conferences, wrote. I mean, probably didn't go to bed till 2 or 3 in the morning. It was a long day, but even with the loss, it was an incredible day.
Absolutely. And as you were doing that walk, what was going through your head as you're walking through the stadium knowing I made it here? And I know you had that moment already, but as you were doing that walk, what was really going through your head?
It's a good question. I think it was just like, wow, like 5 years ago. Actually, so it was February 2020, and I started FanGirl in April of 2015. So 5 years ago, I just was a girl with a blog, a girl with an idea. And I was like, this is really cool. I mean, I just knew this is going to be one of the coolest days of my life, one of the two coolest experiences, win or lose. It was just going to be such a special day. And there was that feeling, there were the goosebumps and all of it, but it was just really cool. And I loved working it. I mean, I love working game day. I love being at practice. I love doing the draft. I love OTAs. I love all of it. And that's because that is, my job, and that is what I'm doing. And I have like my content. And so just to be a part of it and actually working it was just really cool. It was really cool.
And seeing how much you've learned from your fangirl family and what you've been able to create within those years, do you ever hope maybe one day to have a family of your own and to do something outside of fangirl?
Absolutely. I definitely do hope one day to have a family of my own. I'm lucky, as you mentioned before, I'm very close to my family. So my nieces and nephews are a huge part of my life. and they're very interested in what I'm doing. They think it's so cool. But absolutely. And I mentioned earlier, I'm deeply passionate about social justice, and I'm deeply passionate about community work. And so those are things that I do now in my personal time. I do a volunteer work and quite a bit of that, but I would love, in the future to do even more, and potentially my dream is to have like a rescue for dogs, but where it could be their forever homes. So essentially it would be like a ranch, and there'd be like, I'd have like, I don't know, 3 or 4 people that would live there, and dogs could go, they certainly could be adopted from there, but that would never have to be an issue. They could live there their whole lives and be loved and happy. And that would be like my greatest dream. That'd be amazing.
I think that's a dream in itself. How cool is that? And I'm a dog person too, so I think that would be awesome to see them get adopted. And hopefully one day I can see that happen. But Tracy,
I hope
I'm
so.
such a big fan of what you do. Before this interview even happened, I was such a fan. And now I'm an even bigger fan of a little bit more of who you are. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I loved doing this and talking with you, Sydney. This was a lot of fun.